Today we learned that the government of Alberta submitted a labor relations complaint in an attempt to put off negotiating. Teachers are ready for a deal, and the ATA has provided the government our latest proposal. Instead of a response, the government has submitted a frivolous labor relations complaint. The government's concern is regarding a communication sent to teachers on August 29th, and they have just now decided to object to our observation that the government has not provided the Teachers Employer Bargaining Association, also known as TEBA, with a mandate to negotiate on important issues such as class complexity, class size, supports for students in violence-free classrooms, in order to improve the learning environment for students and teachers. The fact is that government negotiators have consistently stated in bargaining that they lack the mandate, the money and political authority to address both teachers' concerns about classroom learning conditions and expectations for adequate compensation. Teachers have said time and time again that they do not want to strike. However, they must see improvements to their classrooms and their working conditions. The government is deliberately trying to sabotage bargaining. They had the ATA counter proposal in hand, and instead of responding to that, they've chosen to walk away while attempting to undermine the association and its leadership. Their latest objection? That teachers are sharing the truth about their working conditions, that teachers have been giving accurate, factual talking points to help explain the issues at stake. And let's be clear, that's not misconduct, it's not misleading, it's the truth. It's transparency, it's professionalism, and it's what our members and the public deserve. That is why teachers voted 94.5% for strike action at the last resort. Rather than sitting down at the table and working towards solution, the government is wasting time on legal maneuvers and public smears. Meanwhile, students are crammed into classrooms of 40 or more. Parents are anxious. Teachers are left in limbo, uncertain about their future as the clock counts down to October 6th. And let's not lose sight of what's really happening here. The government has not given its own bargaining team the mandate to negotiate on the issues that matter most: class size, complexity, supports for students, and a safe, violence-free classroom. And these aren't luxuries. These are things our students and teachers deserve. These are the foundations of a quality education system. And when we say that, we're not spinning, we're telling the truth. Government negotiators have said it themselves again and again. They don't have the authority to address these critical issues. And that's not a talking point, it's the reality we face at the bargaining table. The government is not interested in solutions, it appears. It is interested in distraction. It's vilifying teachers to avoid taking responsibility for the crisis it created. But no amount of political spin can erase what students, families, and teachers experience every single day. To accuse teachers of misleading families is not only false, it is a lie that is deeply insulting to every single one of my colleagues across this province. Alberta teachers are showing up every day under impossible conditions, and they're not the ones playing games. They're fighting for a better future for every child in this province. So let me be absolutely clear. Alberta has the lowest per student funding in the country. That is a choice, and it is a choice that has left our schools struggling. Let me also be clear. We will not be silent, and we will not be intimidated, and we will not stop fighting for the teachers and the students of this province. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. If anybody has a question, I invite you to raise your hand. You can find that under the React tab at the bottom of your screen. I've also placed a copy of the talking points in question in this chat, so you can go ahead and take a look at that as well. I'm currently not seeing any questions, so I'll just give you all a moment to review that. Okay. Bob Covey, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Jason. So if the bargaining team for the government doesn't have the mandate, how will you negotiate those things?
Well, we've been going through this negotiation process since last year and have been talking to government about the concerns that teachers have around class size complexity. And every single one of the solutions that teachers have put forward on the bargaining table has been shut down. The last ditch attempt that the association went with 3,000 teachers hired over the next 3 years. Government simply is not willing to address these issues that teachers are bringing forward for their students and for themselves. So, if we could sit down at the table instead of playing games such as we are today, maybe we could come up to some solutions that might move this forward.
Did you have a follow-up question at all?
No, thanks. I'll consider it. Cheers. Thanks for the answer.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Fakia Beg, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my question. I was wondering, Mr. Schilling, if you can explain if they don't have the mandate, if TIBA doesn't have the mandate to discuss class size, what mandate do they have?
Well, I think that's a question, quite honestly, for the government. I think we need to be asking the government, who has been making choices about funding in this province in public education for years. The least funded is something that is commonly known. The fact that our classes are bursting at the seams is commonly known. The fact that we don't have the resources for our students is commonly known. The fact that teachers have been talking about this for years is commonly known, yet the government wants to turn around and say that we're lying about it, and that's not true. So I think government needs to answer that question more than I do about the mandate that they've given their bargainers. There's obviously a lack of political will to fix the crisis that they've helped create.
I had another question. I'm working on a separate article just about what these overcrowded schools that you're referring to are looking like. Are you able to specifically give a few more details, like what schools you're referring to when you say that some classes have like more than 40 students? Like, can you give some examples of some school districts that are dealing with that and how many schools are overcrowded? Are you able to quantify in any way?
Well, to quantify an exact numbers, I think what we would need to do is just go to urban schools, Edmonton, Calgary, go to Red Deer, go to the whole corridor between Edmonton and Calgary and the schools that are around both of those cities. Go to Lethbridge, go to Grand Prairie, go to Fort McMurray, go to any large sort of urban center. You will see classes that are overcrowded. You will see schools that are using their gym stages as classrooms. You will see schools that have had to convert their libraries into classrooms. I don't think you have to look very far to see the truth of the reality about what's happening in our schools today and the fact that government is willing to stick their head in the sand about it. And I think that it's just a simple matter of talking to my colleagues who we've helped them with points to share their stories.
And this And at the negotiation table, like when the government says they don't have the mandate to discuss class size, like have they said what they do have the mandate for? Like, is it just salary?
Well, when you look at what they're willing to put forward and what they're willing to talk about, some of the solutions, for instance, that we bring to the table, so around class size, maybe a pupil-teacher ratio, class size caps, formula similar to what maybe they have in BC. It's costly. We've gotten ourselves into such a deficit when it comes to public education funding in this province. To climb out of it is very, very expensive. And government's all about cost containment, though we have money to spend on other frivolous things, such as children's Tylenol for $80 million. So it's a matter of them getting to the point where they're actually going to sit down and be serious about being able to put the funding back into education, to see the kids in this province as investment and not an expenditure like they seem to.
And
Oh,
the government
sorry, I'm
has
just gonna have to jump in here. We're gonna limit it to two questions each, and then if there's time, we can circle back.
sure.
Thank you. James Dunn, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Great, thank you. The province has said that it, it made it seem like the province was making headway, that they said that wages are now pretty much the only issue to deal with. Is that accurate from your perspective? Because you keep saying classroom conditions are still a major issue.
Definitely, salaries are a big issue. Teachers are looking for salary increases that make up for lost inflation, keep up with current inflation, and reflect the increasing workload that they have, as well as being able to have a salary that will attract and retain teachers within this province. Salaries, quite often, when you come to bargaining, one of the last items that you discuss when you're negotiating.
And then just as a follow-up, because we know the government keeps offering 12% over 4 years to other unions, and some unions have accepted that. AUPE for one, just as an example recently. So why is it fair to that union and not fair to you?
Well, what we've seen is with teachers have received a 5.75% increase over the last 10 years. If you break that down to 2019 to 2025, they have seen a 3.75% increase when inflation has been over 20%. Other public sector unions and other unions across Alberta have seen increases in the last decade that teachers did not. Government has come to teachers several times and said, you know, we're in a financial crisis right now, and we need teachers to take a couple zeros, and we'll address your classroom conditions later on down the road. And that simply didn't transpire. And so teachers aren't willing to play that game again. They've seen this movie and they don't like the ending.
Thank you for your question. Janet French, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. Sorry about any background noise. It's a bit loud in here. Can you just be a bit more specific when you're talking about this Labor Relations Board complaint affecting bargaining? Just specifically, what does it do to any process of collective bargaining? The fact that they have filed a complaint.
Well, the government has sort of indicated within the release that they don't want to negotiate further until the LRB complaint has been resolved. That delays things, and that further puts things in jeopardy for parents and students and teachers across this province. So it says to me that is government really serious about making a deal? Are they more serious about playing games? Are they more serious about taking shots at the association, its leadership, to try to smear it, to try to divide wedges between the ATA and its members, between teachers and parents? Are they actually serious about getting to the table and making a deal?
Just to follow up, I'm wondering what you can tell us about this counter proposal that you tabled last week, and what, if any, response you got from the government about that counter proposal.
Well, government has not responded to the counter proposal, and I'm not going to talk about the details about it in the media because we have a set of ethics here that we don't talk about bargaining in the media, yet that seems to be counterintuitive to the counterparts who are across the table.
Thank you for your question. I have a question through our chat from Alejandra Toledo Guzman from the Lethbridge Herald. What would an acceptable increase be if 12% is not?
Again, I'm not going to discuss the details of bargaining because we are supposed to be in active bargaining at the table. And I know government would love us to talk about bargaining in the media. They would love us to get out there and talk about this so that they can further smear and vilify my members and teachers across this province. And we're simply not going to play that game. What we want to do is get back to the table, have discussions to see if we can get a negotiated settlement before the clock runs out on October 6th. 95% of teachers in this province have said that they are willing to take strike action over this. And so government needs to stop playing games and get back to the table and show some respect to the parents and students and the teachers across this province.
Okay, so it doesn't look like I have any more questions at the moment. So I'll go back to Fakia. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I just had one more question. The government has called, like, if the government has said it, if the union accepts its last offer, it would result in the best deal for teachers in all of Western Canada. Do you know if that's an accurate statement?
Well, I think if teachers had an ability to see a deal put in front of them. And we can't move a deal forward until we actually sit down at the negotiation table and work one out so that members have something to see. So it's all fine and dandy to say that in the media and the press release that this would be the case. But until teachers actually have something in front of them that they can vote on, they're just words.
Thank you for your question. Janet French, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi there. So today, similar to Fakia's question, Danielle Smith said in response to a question at a news conference that if teachers accepted the most recent government offer that by 2027, those teachers at the high end of the salary grid would be the highest paid in Western Canada. Do you agree with this, or do you have any context to add to her point?
Yeah.
Well, we would have to go back to the mediator's recommendation, which is similar to what the government had tabled in the last deal, which was turned down by teachers across this province. And we would have to go back and, like I said, sit down at the table and see where we can move forward, because teachers have clearly indicated by turning down the mediator's recommendations in the spring and a subsequent strike vote that that is simply not good enough, given the increase of their workload, the fact that they have not kept pace with inflation, and the fact that we need to retain teachers in this province and attract other ones as well.
And I just wanted you to chime in, kind of thinking about, what do you think the government's strategy is by causing what you're characterizing as a delay? Like, do you think they are like daring you to go on strike here?
Well, I'm certainly getting the sense from government today that they're not interested in actually getting to the negotiation table. They're interested in putting frivolous labor board complaints in and then saying, well, we got to wait till this complaint is done before we can move forward. That stretches out the time very dangerously towards October 6th, when teachers have indicated that they're willing to take strike action if we don't come to negotiated settlement. They're further putting in delays that sabotages the process.
Okay, and we've got a question here from James Dunn. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please, James.
Yeah, thank you. Just maybe a bit of a clarification. If a complaint is with the Labor Relations Board, does that mean negotiations are not happening?
Negotiations can continue, from my understanding, when there is a complaint, but actually this complaint, if it was, could be filed after the fact. We could have gotten to a deal, we could have gone on strike, but this could have been filed at any point. But here it is filed the Monday after teachers have given a counter proposal. So instead of actually sitting down and talking about what that proposal might have to say, we get this instead.
I guess just to follow up, when was the last time the two sides met, and are there plans this week or sooner than that?
We had conversations with government last Friday, and there was no plans right now, as I know, for us to sit down and have negotiations this week so far. That could change, though.
Thank you for your question. Fakia, did you have an additional question?
No, I'm good. I'll lower my hand.
Okay, it looks like we've answered everybody's questions. I'll give you all a moment to see if there's anything else that you wanted to ask, and then we can wrap this up. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional questions. I just wanted to thank you all for joining today. I've shared the talking points here with you, and we will have a statement coming out momentarily as well. If you need a copy of this recording or anything else, please contact myself. Thank you so much for joining us.